Welcome to Discover East County, where we walk the paths of hardworking folks who share the stories of their lives and businesses. I'm your host, Valley, and today I'm here with Andrew Hayes. He's a board member of the Lakeside Union School District. Thank you for
Yeah.
being
Oh,
here.
thanks for having me.
So, Andrew, I follow your newsletter, I'm on your socials. I've really been paying attention to the things that you're doing, and I'm seeing a big push behind the Parents and Family Rights Coalition,
Yep.
as well as some taxpayer advocacy. So, can you touch on that? Kind of go into detail, go into
Sure.
depth. Tell our viewers what that is
Yep.
and why.
Yep. Absolutely. So, one of the things that I've learned being on a school board is, and particularly in California, is in order to get anything accomplished, you have to build coalitions.
Mm.
You have to work with other people and you have to build something to make any change, right?
Yep.
Because in California, for better or for worse, it's a one party state. And in order to get anything done, you actually have to build something, work with, people who you agree with to move the ball forward. And so one of the things that I did in starting this Parents and Family Rights Coalition is I'm really sick and tired of, the state saying to parents how they should raise their kids. I
Mm.
mean, I really think that that's not okay. And as a school board member, my job is to advocate for my parents in my district and across the county. And so I started this with the intent to build with other districts and do what I've done in Lakeside.
Mm.
And in Lakeside, I've taken the lead on many different things. One of those things is the behavior issues that we're seeing in classrooms. Another is the state is encouraging to keep secrets from parents if a
Mm.
kid wants to change their gender at school. I
Mm.
mean, that's just bizarro. And so there's numerous different things that I've fought. I passed the Parents' Bill of Rights. I've
Mhm.
fought for opt-outs for certain curriculum. I've created policy transparency committees. All of these things that I think people should expect from their government, expect
Mhm.
from their leaders. And so what I want this coalition to do is take the models that we've created in Lakeside and move them to their district. Do
Mhm.
it there. Do it in your backyard. And so to me, that's the idea of the Parents and Family Rights Coalition. And so I have board members from across the county who've joined and want to take the things I've done in Lakeside forward.
I love that because I agree with you that you do have to have a coalition to make anything move, to make any progress in anything. You have to have kind of like a team,
That's
right?
right.
So a lot of the behavioral problems are still present in, let's just talk
Sure.
straight about Lakeside.
Yep.
I think a lot of the parents and a lot of the teachers, a lot of the staff at all the different schools want it to be a good school. They want their kids to have a good experience. They want less behavioral issues, and the parent and the teachers themselves are like screaming for help.
They are.
And there's not much they can do.
Yep.
And I want to just mention that people are I'm hearing a lot back from friends and family that still go to the school district, and they're telling me like learning slows
Yep.
when there's
Oh, yeah.
behavioral problems in the classroom. The teachers are exhausted because they're dealing with things that are outside of teaching.
Yep.
It's more of like mental health stuff. It's more of like, and their hands are tied in some sense. What is the coalition doing to help, advocate for them?
Yep. So one of the key parts of the behavioral reforms that I've moved forward through policy in Lakeside, it's kind of there's numerous tiers to this, but the first is that not every kid who punches another kid or who threatens another kid or issues a hit list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, this stuff
Yeah.
has happened. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And I mean, kids are writing hit lists like that's disturbed.
Yeah.
And so there's many different things that you can do to address that. One of those things is you actually have to have consequences for that behavior.
Mhm.
One of the things the state has done, and that I don't fully agree with, is this notion called restorative justice practices, right? Where if a kid punches another kid in the face, you go and ask them why they punched you. That's stupid.
Mhm.
I mean, that makes no sense to me. I mean, you got to have a consequence. Now, listen, I agree that to regulate behavior, you got to do a consequence, and then you do have to do some follow-up.
Mhm.
But you got to have a consequence first. You got to show kids and students that punching another kid, threatening the life of another kid, bullying a kid, chronic bullying a kid, which, by the way, that's a big thing too, is where kids are being chronically bullied. It's not just one time being bullied at the lunch table, right? It's now a constant thing, whether it's through social media,
Mhm.
whatever it may be, right? those things are all bad. So the first thing you have to do is you have to have consequences. You have to have strict consequences, behavioral standards. So that's the first thing that you have to do to regulate behavior and change things in a school district. So we're doing that in Lakeside. We're changing how we're going to do our consequences. Secondarily, from there, you actually then have to give teachers the support that they need in the classroom. One of the things that we're seeing is that teachers who have to evacuate a classroom, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
You have to evacuate a classroom because one kid is throwing a chair. That's absolutely nonsense, right? That hurts the learning of the other 30 in the classroom, and it creates this victim mindset, right? It creates this mindset that this one student deserves all the attention in the world, yet the 30 kids over here don't deserve the equal amount of attention.
Well, and oftentimes that's what the student is looking for.
Correct.
Right? They're just acting out for
and they want to be suspended too. That's the other thing. They want to go home. Well, guess what? That can't be one of the consequences to do that, right? You have to have in-school suspension. You have to have real consequences. And then again, it's about how do you give teachers that support? Maybe it's a one-on-one aid. Maybe it's a behavioral coach. Maybe it's an additional body in the classroom when you have kids who are problematic. And then so that's this kind of second tier, and then kind of the third tier here is and third and fourth tier is accountability and kind of communication, because the accountability part is the data, right? I mean, how many kids are on IEPs that are going through this? How many kids who are probably all of them, right? But how many kids are we actually helping when we're addressing it with these new consequences, with these positive behavior interventions, with even multi-tiered systems of support, right? There are numerous things that we can do, but also what are the consequences? So are they working? We have to track the data. Schools and government and everything never track data, never. So we got to do that. And then the last part is communicate with the parents, right? I mean, parents should not be hearing from their kid that they were evacuated that day from the classroom. They should be hearing from the principals and the teachers and the staff.
They don't.
And that's part of the problem. And so the kids are telling their mom and dad, hey, I was thrown out of the class today, or I was evacuated today because a kid was threatening the teacher with a pencil. And then there was no communication, and then the parents don't hear what the consequences are. And then what happens is they get mad at the staff. The staff say, we can't communicate anything to you because it violates the rights of the students. But then you can communicate to parents what the consequences are going to be for whatever and whomever. You can say those things. So again, there are things that school districts have to do better. Have to do better. And this is why I'm so focused on behaviors.
What about opt-out? I mean, I know that as a student in the district, when I was younger, we did some opt-outs back way back when, and you were kind of condemned.
Yep.
And even so now, a little pushback we've had on some projects that we're going through the school. I've kind of spoken out to the teacher, like, I don't want my kid to be a part of this. It felt awkward to say, we don't want to do this. We don't want to participate. What are some changes that are being implemented to help parents opt out or even know what's being taught in the classroom that they want to opt out of?
Yeah. So the first thing is that I want parents to know every parent has the right to review school district curriculum. You just have to ask. So every parent, members of the public.
That's the key. You have to ask.
You have to ask. Yep.
Yeah, it's
and
not freely given.
And that's the state law. Now, what I've tried to do and what I've worked on when I passed my Parents' Bill of Rights is I created a pathway so that parents can see curriculum, right? And so we have a policy committee, we have a curriculum committee, we have all of these things where there's parent input on what happens in the district, right? Now, if a parent doesn't want their kid to learn about transgender nonsense, in the classroom, they have a full right to say that that they should not do these things, and they should not have access to that. And by the way, I always tell parents too, you are the director of your kid, and I want you to direct the child of direct the education of your child, right? I want you to do that. That's what I'm here to help you do, and I'm here to advocate for that. So you can opt out of anything you want. Now that's a really important part. You have to ask, but you can opt out. And that's part of the problem with the state law is the state law doesn't allow for you to opt in. It says you have to opt out, right?
Yeah.
And so it's called a passive opt-in, right? Which is
You're automatically opted in.
opted in until you opt out,
Got
right?
it.
And so unfortunately, a lot of parents don't know that they have that right. They have the right to take their kid out of the classroom on any subject matter that they don't deem appropriate or that aligns with their family's values, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Supreme Court has been fantastic at upholding those rights here in the past few years. So that's a really positive thing. So in Lakeside, we want our parents active in the curriculum. We want them to see it. The one other thing I will say too is you can also opt your kid. You can also control what your kid's checking out in the library too, right? I mean, I don't want kids to have access to books in libraries that are, keeping secrets from parents. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want that. I want full transparency. I believe everything should be in the light of day.
Yeah. How is the school district receiving the coalition actions? Are they
I hear only positive from my
okay?
constituents, right? And now I can't speak for school district staff fully. I don't know. I think some staff probably love what I'm doing, and I'm sure some staff hate what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's some administrators who hate what I'm doing. I'm sure there's some principals who love what I'm doing. I'm sure it's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
But see, I don't. The thing is I don't work for the school district. I work
Right.
for the people, right? My job is to be. I'm elected by the
Mm-hmm.
people, right? So I don't work for the staff. They work for the district, but I'm employed by the voter, and my voters in East County are saying we like what you're doing. We
Mm-hmm.
appreciate what you're doing. We want you to keep working on these things. So that's what I'm going to do because that's what I'm hearing.
What I can't even wrap my brain around what the opposition stance is against these positive moves. Like,
Oh,
what's the rebuttal? Like,
oh, I'm a
what is
bigot. I'm a racist. I'm transphobic. I'm
okay?
I'm all these things. I mean, I can't tell you the list of names
And you're
that.
none of those things.
No, I mean, listen. I believe in freedom. I
Uh huh.
believe that everybody has a right to choose and what they should do with their lives. But here's a key distinction that I make for people: is we're talking about minor children. We're
Mm-hmm.
not talking about 18-year-old people and above. We're not talking about adults. We're talking about kids. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
when we're having these conversations about whether it be should a 12-year-old have access to an abortion,
Mm-hmm.
no,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they're 12.
Right.
That's not saying that somebody above the age of 18, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking 12. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking
That's you're
young
saying
kids,
without a parental
parental
consent. Yeah. Yeah.
consent, right? That's what we're talking about here is
Mm-hmm.
young kids, and parents deserve to have access. They are minors,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as we start going through this, I really want people to start thinking it in those terms, right? Thinking about it in those terms, because we're talking about young kids. We're not talking about adults. We're talking about minors. And so these are things and I take that very seriously, right? So when I'm fighting on these things, parents should not be kept in the dark
Mm-hmm.
about what's happening in their kids' education.
You know what just caught me while you were speaking is if a kid falls and physically hurts themselves or physically has some sort of scratch or something on their body, right? A note goes home from the nurse
Yep,
that says, this is what happened at school
correct.
and this is how we treated it. But if there's a mental
Yep,
discrepancy,
yep.
that's not spoken to about the parents. Like if something
Oh,
comes
they'll
up
keep secrets.
for a kid's emotional or mental health, they don't.
Hmm.
But physical health we can, but mental and
Yep,
emotional is off limits.
yep.
That doesn't you can't have it both ways. It's
It
one. It's both. It should be one or the other.
I agree. And this is the problem, right? And
Yeah.
so this is what the state encourages. The state is encouraging school districts to keep things secrets from parents. They had state law that did so, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
passed. And then school districts are required to implement. We didn't implement that in Lakeside. In fact, I suspended enforcement of any of those kinds of regulatory frameworks. So to me, that's a really important thing. I think you're spot on because what I try to tell people is let's not get sucked in to the narrative that's in the mainstream press, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the mainstream press would say that that it's wrong to talk to parents about if a kid says they want to change their gender at school.
Mm-hmm.
The mainstream press says that's okay, that the parent should be kept in the dark because the kid may be abused. First off, I want every parent to know, and whether on any side of these issues, by the way, I think it's really important to be clear that on any side of these issues, as a school board member and as a school board staff, right, or school district staff, we're mandated reporters. That
Mm-hmm.
is a fundamentally important thing. So if we believe a kid is being abused,
Mm-hmm.
we must report. We must report. So if we think a student is going to be harmed at home or is being harmed at home,
Mm-hmm.
we're reporting it.
Right.
We are actually obligated
No
by law,
matter what
no
the
matter what it is.
yeah right.
Right? And so I want people to understand that's a huge protection that kids have.
And if you don't report it and you are able to find out that
That's
you
a
knew
crime.
exactly.
It's a crime.
Yeah.
So understand that this is what I want people to hear and I want people
Mhm.
to know about is that I take my job very seriously, and so do all of our teachers, all of our staff, all of our custodials, all these people. They love kids. No one wants to see a kid be harmed
Mhm.
ever. I don't want to see it. But I also don't want parents to be kept in the dark about what's
Mhm.
happening in their kids' education. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
And when you keep secrets, you lose trust,
I
right?
think Lakeside's a good place to start this. I think
Yep,
Lakeside has a good opportunity to open the doors for this more transparency between the
absolutely.
schools and the parents. Where do you see your coalition going from here forward? Are there anything coming up, a new push for anything, something
Yeah.
I might be catching in my emails soon?
Yes. Well, in fact, I just launched it. I'm so excited about it, and I want parents to know about it. Is that we have a parents and family rights tip line, so it's a
Okay.
hotline.
Oh,
So there's a
wow.
web form for it, and then there's a phone number for it, and you can call it, you can text it. So I'll be sharing that out here. But I'm very excited, and what I want parents to do is call it and make submissions
Mm,
because I can help advocate for you, but if I don't know about all the problems, I
yep.
can't help fix all of them,
Exactly.
right? So I want parents to call me, reach out. My cell phone's very public, by the
Mm-hmm.
way, but this tip line is so that my team and I and our coalition can go through all the messages and then help address the problem. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where I can learn about stories, right? I want
Mm-hmm.
to hear stories. I want to hear the stories of maybe there's a kid there was a kid doing a behavior issue, or maybe there's a kid who's struggling with a bullying issue, or maybe there's a teacher that, somebody says, hey, this teacher is handling these situations fantastically and you need to learn from them. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to go and see what their model is so that we can implement that in my classrooms in Lakeside. So all that's to say, I really want parents and families to utilize the tip line.
I think that's a great idea because you see all the complaints on the Facebook
Yep,
groups and you see all the comments on the Facebook groups, but
yep,
instead of just complaining and venting there, you can actually do something about it by calling in on the tip line or filling out the
that's
web
right.
form.
Texting the tip line,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And see,
great.
I'm really excited. And
Yeah.
this is one of the problems I wanted to solve was I hear about, as I try to stay off social media if I can, because it's just such a nasty place. But, and, people are really keyboard warriors, they want to just text and on Facebook, but they don't want to actually address the issue. So I kind of try to not be on if I can. But I want to turn those comments into action,
Yeah,
right?
I
Because
believe it.
at the end of the day, just commenting on something on Facebook doesn't solve the problem. It might
Right.
make you feel good for 2 seconds, but it doesn't actually make any change.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see things change. I'm elected to move the ball, right? And
Mm-hmm.
people expect that that things should be solved, right? And I want people to get what they deserve from government, which means service, which
Mm-hmm.
means solving problems. That's what I believe. Now, not everybody who's elected is like that. I'm like that, but not everybody is. And I get there's not a trust in government. There's not a lot of trust there, but people can trust that I'm focused on trying to solve their problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not solved by posting on Facebook. It's
Yeah,
solved by filling out the tip line so that I
exactly.
know about it so that I can go and do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and my last question is rather other than the tip line, how if someone's really interested in getting involved and being part of the coalition or just helping, volunteering, anything, how could they do that?
Yep, follow me on social media. Then you can sign up for my newsletters and you can get all of the info that you receive, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I send out probably one a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying not to spam people, but I try to send one a week about just different issues and
Mm-hmm.
different topics that we've been working on. And so, yeah, follow me there. You'll find out, at Andrew Hayes CA, but you'll be able to learn all the things I'm working on and you can sign up for the newsletter. That's the best way. The other way, though, is you can shoot me an email or you can shoot me a text, and I'm very accessible.
Yeah,
So
you are.
I want to make sure that everybody has access and can see how to solve their problem.
Awesome. All right. Perfect. So changes coming to Lakeside.
That's
I love
excited.
it.
Yep, yep.
Thank you so much for being
Yeah,
here.
thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks all for watching Discover East County. We will see you next time.